We are live.
Okay, can I have your attention, please? This is the Painesville Township Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And like we do at all our meetings, I'm going to ask everyone if they would like to stand and do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Rachel, at this time, if you'll call the roll for the record, please.
Okay, Randy?
Here.
Dale?
Here.
Dave Anzera?
Here.
Dave Lindros?
Here.
And Chairman.
Here, let the record show that we have a full quorum. At this time, I'm going to ask our legal counsel to explain why she needs to swear people in that plan to testify this evening, and then I'm going to have her go ahead and swear those people in. So,
These are official proceedings, so if anybody were to appeal this to the common pleas court, the testimony needs to be truthful and you guys need to swear to that. So what I'll do is I'll ask anybody who's going to be speaking tonight to stand up. I'll read you the oath, and then individually I'll ask you if you yes or no, swear to that oath. And if you could state your name when you do that as well, so that way we have a recorded record if this were to proceed any further. Okay, so if anybody is wishing to speak tonight, could they stand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Alright, so could you state your name?
Sean Blake, Center City Council.
Okay, and you say yes?
Yeah, oh yes.
Ron Ruddick.
Okay.
Terry Lewis. Bob Chandler. Yes.
I'm just standing.
Okay. Sir in the gray
Mon Youssef, YYUSCF. Dennis Michael.
Thank you.
all right, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know I've seen this happen before where some people stand up and be sworn in, and then when we get going, somebody else wants to speak. So everyone that did not get sworn in, just understand that we cannot hear any testimony that you want to put forth this evening, okay? All right, let me just, before we get started here, we've got a number of items on our agenda this evening, and there's probably some people here that don't want to get involved in what I think could be a timely discussion. So just a show of hands, how many people are here for the drive-through at the proposed drive-through at Popeye's Chicken? Okay, that answers my question. So what I'm going to do as chairman, I'm going to move this one to last, so we can get through the other ones. And they don't have to sit through the whole thing. So at this time, Rachel, if you could read case 2023-0010 BZA, please.
Okay, applicant Crystal Property Group LLC submitted a variance application for property located at 1653 Menor Avenue. The request is to allow installation of 32.52 square feet wall sign on the south facing wall of the building in violation of section 28.05 B1, which states that wall signs shall be permitted on front walls only, which are defined as the walls facing and most parallel with a street line.
Okay, I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring a variance for this. Is there someone here that would like to speak in favor of this request?
Is this for Charlie's? Is this for Starbucks?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I think we skipped over.
Listening.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Do I need to state my name, company? Mon Youssef, owner of All Signs and Designs, 3450 West 140th, Cleveland, Ohio, 44111. I am here requesting a variance on behalf of Starbucks. The way the code is, the city ordinance is you can't have signs on non-street facing walls. Unfortunately, the way this is, located, it's kind of oblong to the corner. But what we're requesting the sign, it's the main LED Starbucks. The word, Starbucks. It's actually the entrance and the parking lot. But it just like you say, the way it happens is the back of the building. So we've already got approval for all the other, through Lake County and through the township. We got approval for all the other ones, the drive through, the clearance bar, menu, all that. But they told us to get this, we had to go through this process, and that's basically it. It's just like I said, it's the entrance and the parking lot, so that's why we figured we really do need a sign there. And
Okay. Anyone else to speak in favor of it? Anyone to speak against? Any questions from the board? I'm sure the board is aware of the memo that we got from our zoning inspector that there's language being written now to where this would not even be required in the future, this variance request. Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve variance 2023-0010 BZA.
Okay, motion's been made.
I'll second.
Second, Randy, thank you.
Okay, Dale,
Yes.
Dave Anzera,
Yes.
Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Is this something you want to do right away?
Well, actually, they don't start like they've already, like I got 6 pallets coming tomorrow, but they don't start manufacturing whatever it is till you guys give me the approval. So for that, probably more like end of August, early September.
Okay, the reason I ask is this really doesn't become official until our next meeting when we approve the minutes,
And when is that?
would be next month. But if you want to, we can make a motion to journalize this, which makes it immediate effective.
I mean, I don't, we're an hour away, and we'd rather get it all done. But hey, if it's held up, Starbucks got money. You can send me back out here. I mean, seriously, I told them this costs $600, for the paperwork. Go ahead, do it. So if you're gonna pay me $650 to come back out here, to pay me to
You
come back
probably
out.
don't want us to journalize this.
No, believe me, they have. You hear on the news about how Starbucks is closing stuff. I'm one that don't believe that. They got me in Dover. They got me here. They got me in Lorraine. They're opening up everywhere, and they all want to get everything done before September. No, I'd rather get it all done as soon as I can. But if you guys got to do something, you got to do something. Whenever they give me the approval, I'll
Well,
move forward.
you've been approved. It just won't become official until our meeting next month, which is probably just going to be in a few weeks because this
Okay.
meeting was delayed.
Okay. Well, I want to stay in favor because I might need to come back here. Starbucks goes away, I have to stay. All right.
All right. So
Thank you, everybody. Do I need anything else?
No. I think
All right.
we're
Have a
good.
good night.
Thank you. Okay, Rachel, if you would read case 2023-0011 BZA, please.
Okay, applicant Yule Timothy J. and Cheryl A. submitted a variance application for property located at 58 Hickory Hill Road. The request is to allow construction of an 8-foot by 12-foot addition to a pre-existing attached garage, which would maintain a minimum side yard setback of 7 feet in violation of 14.03A1, which states that the minimum side yard setback shall be no less than 10 feet.
Okay, again, I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring a variance here. Is there someone to speak in favor of this request? Just state your name and let us know what you want to do here.
My name is Matthew Yulee. I'm here on behalf of my parents, Timothy and Cheryl. They'd like to add a 8 by 12 addition to their pre-existing garage, which cuts into their variance by 3 feet.
Okay, for the purpose of,
Building another garage bay adding another bay onto their garage for a '66 Mustang that he got.
all right. That it?
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against this? Any questions from the board?
Have you had a chance to talk to your neighbor to the south of you about your intentions? That would be
62?
Yeah,
62, yeah.
Can I ask a question for my father real quick?
Yes, sure.
Did you talk to him? What did the neighbors say?
The neighbors, nobody said anything. Nobody could care, the neighbors could care less.
They were all notified, right?
Okay, good, thanks.
On cell phones, wonderful. Okay, any other questions? Someone like to make a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance request, 2023-011, sorry, BZA.
I'll second.
Okay, Randy,
Yes.
Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Dave Nzera,
Yes?
Dale,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Again, I'm gonna ask you, is this something you wanna start on right away?
Yes.
Okay, if someone would like to make a motion to journalize this decision?
I'll make a motion to journalize variance 2023-0011. I'll second.
Okay, Dave Nzera,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes. Again, what that means, if you wanna get started, you can come in probably tomorrow or so and get your paperwork started,
All right. Thank you.
okay? Alright, thank you.
Good luck.
Alright, next, Rachel, if you could read 2023-0012 BZA.
Okay, applicant Chapman Benjamin N. submitted a variance application for property located at 820 Carson Avenue. The request is to allow construction of a 456 square foot addition onto a pre-existing detached garage, maintaining a setback of approximately 9 feet from the road right of way, and a total accessory structure square footage of 1,032 square feet in violation of section 14.02 C4, which requires that the total ground coverage of all accessory structures on the property shall not exceed 875 square feet, and in violation of section 14.02 C8, which requires that accessory structures on a corner lot shall maintain a minimum setback of 20 feet from the road right-of-way on the side street which it abuts.
Again, I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring a variance for these items. Just a note for everybody in attendance here, whenever a motion is made, it's required by the Ohio Revised Code that it's always made in a positive motion. So just keep that in mind. All right, is someone here to speak in favor of this request?
I didn't stand up to these one, and I apologize. I didn't know I needed to speak on this.
Can I swear you in really
she can
quickly,
swear you
just so
right
that
in.
way?
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Okay, did you get his name?
Could you come up to the podium
Yeah,
and
why don't
state
you
your
come
name?
up? We need your name for the record that you've been sworn.
Apologize.
My name is Benjamin Chapman.
Oh.
Couldn't have timed that any better. So what's in question here is they've got that kind of materialized a little indifferent.
Just tell us what
on
you
that.
what you want to do.
What I need, I'm trying to add. I have a 24 by 24, and then I was going to add a 12 by 24, so which would make it a 24 by 36, and I can totally do that correctly under the 875 square footage, and that even leaves me a few square feet left. But I was going to bump that out into a 12 by 14 and make it an L shape. I'm a carpenter by trade. I do a lot of remodeling work. I have big clunky stuff, wet saws, ladders, scaffolding, like stuff I need to put somewhere. I'm currently renting 2 storage units that cost me money every month that I'm tired of driving to. I have a couple 4-wheelers that are big and clunky, an Exmark lawnmower. So I thought if I just bump that out, that 12 by 14, I could just take all the big clunky belongings I'm tired of moving and just shove them in there and get them out of my way. So I do believe, I think I'm only asking for that 12 by 14 space, which is like 148 square feet or so over. But then I don't know why they have it listed as 9-foot setback off the roadside. That's incorrect.
Come and show us on this drawing here what you're talking about. this is your home, this is facing Carson.
This is Carson, this is my frontage, this is a
Right.
side. Okay, this is my existing garage.
Correct.
This section here would be 12 by 24, which I can do under correct code. So this 12 by 14 is all I'm asking for. I have proper setback on both sides.
So, what's up with this addition here? Is that always part of the garage?
No, I'm trying to build all of this right now. This is
Okay.
my existing garage. This would be 12 by 24, and I can do
Right,
that
right.
correctly under the 875 square foot,
Right.
code. I guess then I cooked up this idea that I have all this big clunky stuff, like I could just put it in there, which is
What are you
basically-
calling the road right of way?
Well, I read that in there. It says road right of way. I don't know. There's an old alleyway back here. I don't know if they're saying 9 feet to a
Sean, can you clarify that?
alleyway.
So, in terms of, there's the right of way itself. So, Abel's is you have the road, and then you have the road right of way. So, any we have an easement. So, let's say we need to do drainage work, or if they're going to run AT&T line, you'd be in the road right away. So, in
Which is
terms,
the easement, the 20 foot from the edge of the street easement.
I forget what the width is, but this is probably right because normally they're 60-foot right away, so 30 foot from center.
30 foot from center, 20 from edge is what I was told in the past.
So, oh my goodness, get out of here. Sorry.
A bit more there than 9 feet. That trailer is only
Yeah.
8 feet wide. It's set there in that picture.
If I can use the measurement tool without having a craziness, here we go. Sorry. So, give or take, GIS is never necessarily accurate, and I might be not in the center of the road, but that's the 30-foot right away on the one side versus the 30 the other way. So then, the setback from the road right away, let's say there wanted to be a fence, we go 5 feet off of the road right away as well, just for larger equipment. So for the setback here, because it looks like he wants to go, right? He wants to go in this area, and he brings it
just short of the edge of that.
yeah, to the concrete pad. So if you're measuring roughly from the concrete pad there, you're in that range, but that's.
Okay.
But
Is that an issue? I was not led to believe that was an issue when I come up to talk to the zoning inspector.
What's included in your request, so, I mean,
yeah, I think the way that Harley had it in there was just to make sure that there was the clearance on there because the setback for structures in that district it's not like a fence, right? So it needs to be.
if we approve it, it'll be approved along.
Yeah, you're gonna be. You're gonna be.
Any difference.
If they approve it, you're gonna be able to build up to that point.
Okay.
Versus telling you no, not to. Because I remember we had talked about you might as well go bigger instead of the smaller that you were debating on.
Right. So that's it. Are we
Okay.
clear?
Any
now?
other questions?
Question. So is there a tree? Like, do you have a tree like right between where your trailer is and the road?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Shadows, I think, from the.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
that's
probably, yeah.
How
This
close
is-
will you be to your arborvitae's there?
I don't know. I really measured to those.
I mean, he's gonna be pretty far off.
I know my fence is set 2 feet inside my property line because the woman next door to me was a complete hoarder mess, and I've tried to get her property cleaned up for 23 years. Nobody would do anything about it, but she finally passed away, so that house is being renovated.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, yeah, I've got the 2-foot setback off the property line with the fence and then the
Okay.
so. I gotta think there'd be a good 8 feet there at least.
Well, I went by your place and it's very, very well maintained.
Thank you.
Nice piece of
I
property.
tried.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak in favor of the request? Anyone to speak against the request? Any other questions from the board? If not, if someone would like to make a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve variance 2023-0012.
I'll second.
Okay, Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Dave Anzera,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes. Okay, again, I'm gonna ask you, do you wanna get started on this right away?
Well, I can't till I go through the building department, but I was told they're 6 to 8 weeks out, so can I at least take plans to them without something from you?
He can take the plan saying this is approved, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, very
All
good,
right.
thank you.
Good. I think that, I wonder if that guy left too soon, I'm not sure if he's the next guy to talk to. Next, Rachel, if you could read 2023-0013 BZA.
Okay, applicant Crystal Property Group LLC submitted a variance application for property located at 1635 Menor Avenue. The request is to allow installation of a freestanding sign which proposes to maintain a height of 10 feet and a minimum setback from the road right-of-way of 5 feet and 5 inches in violation of section 28.05B4, which requires that monument signs shall maintain a minimum setback of 15 feet from the road right-of-way, and section 39.03C2, which requires that no freestanding sign within the Menor Corridor Commercial Design Overlay District shall exceed a height of 6 feet.
Okay, again, I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring this variance. I don't know if that fellow was gonna speak in favor of this. Is there someone to speak in favor of this request? No. Anyone to speak against? Okay, board, I don't know if we wanna act on this or if we wanna continue this and make sure that somebody shows up next time. The base is already there, you know that.
He probably figured it was included with the first.
You may have.
They were notified because this sign was separate versus the other signs with Starbucks. So this is being done by the owner themselves.
Well, this is a different,
This is,
okay.
I mean, it's been our practice to
This is a
continue these.
this is Starbucks, but the owner of the property is applying for this variance versus going through the sign company to apply for the variance. So I don't see that person in the audience. So
Okay.
Isn't he normally out of town, like in California?
there's representatives that could have attended and they were notified.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Well,
in this case, I would
suggest that we continue this till we hear from them. Because there's something that our zoning inspector talked to us about that we may want to consider. Just moving the letters down to the first level of brick. See what they think about that. So, someone like to make a motion to continue 13 BZA.
I'll make a motion that we continue case number 2023-0013-BZA.
Second.
That was Dave Lindros at second?
Yes.
Okay, Dave Anzera,
Yes.
Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes. Okay. All right. Now, Rachel, if you will read 2023-0014 BZA, please.
Applicant 1522 Menor LLC submitted a variance application for property located at 1518 Menor Avenue. The request is to allow installation of 62 square feet wall sign on the west facing wall of the building in violation of section 28.05B1, which states that wall signs shall be permitted on front walls only, which are defined as the walls facing and most parallel with the street line.
Okay, again, no error in our zoning inspector requiring a variance. Is there someone here to speak in favor of that? Yes, sir. You just identify yourself.
Dennis Michael, Midwest Sign Center in Canton, Ohio. And they want to do the wall sign because there's O'Reilly's there, which takes up the whole road sign. So they only have like the front sign, so they wanted something for more visibility.
Can't hear you.
Since there's no road sign, there's no road sign for Charlie's, O'Reilly's takes up that whole road sign, so all they have is the front sign, so they wanna get more visibility, so they wanna put one on the wall.
Mhm.
So they get a little more visibility for the, sign.
The front of that building is just about all glass, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and O'Reilly's is to the right of it,
Yeah.
facing.
Okay.
The drive-throughs on that side, this will go right by the drive-through.
We already approved the drive-through on that.
Mm-hmm.
Meetings before. All right, is there anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone to speak against? Questions from the board? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve case number 2023-0014-BZA.
I'll second.
Okay, Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Dave Anzera,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes. Okay? You're all set. Thank you.
You need that right away.
You didn't answer. Tired of saying that. Okay, we are going to move to, we're gonna go back to our first case, which is 2023-006 BZA. Rachel, if you would please read that request.
Applicant Michael Couch submitted a conditional use application for property located at 2168 Menor Avenue. The request is to operate a drive-through in conjunction with a restaurant.
Okay, again, I find no error in our zoning inspector requiring a conditional use permit for this. Just so everybody knows, a conditional use permit is different than a variance. It's something that conditions can be put on by this board if the board feels like they are required. And just so everybody knows, this building has been already approved. This board looks at variances and conditional use permits only. This is a conditional use permit request for a drive-through. People will be able to speak, but we don't want to entertain things about why is this building being put here and all that. That's all approved. All we're looking at is a drive-through this evening, okay? So with that, is there anyone here to speak in favor of this request?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Michael Couch. I am the architect for this project. So we are proposing this new restaurant on the site, which is zoned B for business, which is permitted. However, the drive-through does require a conditional use, and that is what we were asking for.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit about your drive-through stacking and everything that you?
Sure. We have a double lane stacking, which will allow approximately 18 to 19 cars in queue. And in the initial design, there was a existing curb cut on Mentor Avenue that we relocated as far away from Waterford as possible. That was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
We can't move it anymore except against a property line, basically.
The entrance, as I see it on the drawing, the entrance will be on the eastern side of the property, and they'll go around
Yes.
north and then
Yes.
around.
The entrance is on the eastern side, basically at the property line.
They'll move north and then come back south to the.
Correct. So enter and exit the same curb cut.
Okay. And the drawing that we have in front of us, this board, the landscape plan, this is all been approved by the zoning.
Yes, it was approved last 2 weeks ago with 2 minor modifications.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Just tell us about hours that you are looking.
I do not know that. I apologize.
Okay, that's,
I can.
you're
get
the
that for you.
architect, not the businessman. right?
Correct.
Okay.
The owners are not here tonight.
Sean, do you know?
The hours of operation, I don't know the exact one, but typically Popeyes are open from 10:30 in the morning until some are 11 at night, some are 10.
Okay.
Depending on location and staffing.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from our applicant here before he resumes his seat? Okay,
Just
thank-
just to
okay.
clarify, you said you can stack 18 cars,
18 to 19
In-
cars, yes.
18 to 19 using
With
both.
a double
with the double-
drive-through.
Yeah,
If you may approach.
Sure, please.
Basically, the highlighted areas would kind of represent cars,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of get your, so basically, you have 2 lanes that kind of merge into a single lane on the drive-through side.
Mm-hmm. Just like a typical McDonald's or
Yes,
something, where you
but
have two
yes.
ordering and then going to order.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah,
Correct.
okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Just a note on the drawing, just to confirm, it looks like on the back side, those are green giant arborvitaes. Is that correct?
Where specifically?
It looks like they were added, the tree buffer, which would be on the north side.
Okay.
Are those, I believe those are green giants, is that right?
I don't have the landscape plan with me. There is a legend on the landscape plan
Yes.
that will indicate what they are. But now we have a various,
If you're referring to number 11 on there by the trash, that's that's Green Giants.
They are green giants.
everything
okay.
around the dumpster enclosure is an arborvitae, yes.
Okay.
That was something that was not required, but we opted to do.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone to speak against the request?
Name's Ron Rodick, just a Waterford resident. I'm just curious as to the drawing, where is Waterford at, and has anybody taken into consideration into traffic situations? How are we gonna turn left to get out of there with the restaurant next door to us? Is there gonna be a traffic light eventually? Is there gonna be an arrow turning into to Waterford? How do we get in and out of Waterford?
Well, I would, again, we're looking at a drive-through here. I'm assuming those have all been questions that have been answered by our zoning board. I mean, you go up and down Route 20, there's Chick-fil-A, and then there's a road, I mean, there's,
There's no light at Waterford.
We
Okay.
couldn't,
Like
we couldn't
McDonald's
request
doesn't
one.
have a light.
no, McDonald's doesn't have a light, Burger King, Wendy's, none of those have lights, so. All right. Yes, sir.
Just to elaborate on what he said, with Bob Chandler, 6671 Shannon Lane, without a light, with a turning lane going left, it's gonna be impossible to get out of there with the traffic. Right now, it's difficult. And with all the traffic coming out of there, without a traffic light, with a left turning lane, the residents of Waterford are gonna have to turn right and then go up, make a U-turn and come back in. It should be a basic requirement with this, just the traffic lights.
So to speak on it, the township doesn't have control over Menor Avenue where lights are placed. The township, the trustees have pushed for years over here across from the Aldi's to put a light here. There are multiple accidents a month there, and ODOT refuses to place a light there. So ODOT has control whether a light would go in here or not. So whether this would be a Popeyes or any other thing that would fit into the district, the township does not have control on where to place lights. If we did, we would 100% do that. And if we were
Just a basic question for you then.
Yeah.
Why is there a light at Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
And then 100 yards down the road, there's another light.
Right.
Those were put in as traffic controls so people could get in and out. And we should be afforded the same courtesy. Because like I say, without a left turn signal there, it's going to be impossible to get out and turn left during peak traffic areas.
don't have the power to do that.
Yeah, we don't in the township. We can't tell Popeyes that you can't build there until you put a light in, because even Popeyes could ask for a light there from ODOT, and ODOT could just say no. ODOT has control over that road, unfortunately.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, or good evening. My name's Terry Lewis. I'm the board president of the Waterford Association. We spent a lot of time looking at the site plan and everything. Obviously, they've taken some care and they're added some additional landscaping, but what they haven't taken into consideration of is there's going to be massive amount of cars in the evening, and there's going to be no light mitigation. If you go back, could you pull up that other slide, that last one? Go back to the other one, please. Right back there in the north corner and that east corner, there is going to be, some of these folks live within 400 feet of over here. These trees, these little trees, maybe 20 years from now when they grow up, they'll be big enough. We're asking for a fence. A good example of the fence that we would like is right across the street at Aldi's. It's an 8-foot fence. It separates them from the Aldi's parking lot. It contains the trash, contains the privacy, and pretty much that's what we're asking for. We're asking for Popeyes to install an 8-foot fence along that area. We've had experience with it for 30 years. We have a fence behind Target that's 8 foot tall. We have very little problems. However, at the Waterford entrance, we have numerous problems. They put up a small trash containment fence, and once a month we go over there and argue with them about picking up the trash. A lot of these folks go out in the street, pick up trash for themselves. They shouldn't have to do that. So we're asking for a fence is what bottom line. But we're asking from, and then they could eliminate some of the landscaping. So it might offset some of the cost. I think that's it in a nutshell. The light mitigation and the noise. I mean, they're talking about lining up 18 cars in over there. We don't want a drive-through. We'd prefer not to have a drive-through. I know you guys already approved it, but I mean, would you like to live next to a loudspeaker going, what do you want on that? All night till 10:30 at night? I don't think you would if you were living there. So we'd appreciate if you'd reconsider the positioning of the drive-through to be so it's going somewhere else other than towards our neighborhood. Okay?
Mr. Hill, my neighbor and I live in the first 2 houses on the left on Waterford.
Were you sworn in earlier?
Do you want to speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to be sworn if you want to speak.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes. So my neighbor
And what is your name?
Donna Dew. My neighbor and I live in the first 2 houses on the left going into Waterford. There is a building that we have leased to, Carrie, what is that?
It's by Quest.
It's like a care for handicapped kids.
I'm familiar with it.
They're fine, okay? Yeah, you hear the buses going in and out of there picking up the kids. But for us, across the street when it was Buffalo Wild Wings, was that what it was? My God, the music at night, it would wake us up. I can't even imagine what this is gonna be like for we who live in those first 2 houses, or even on that street before you get to.
Have you ever been to a drive-through church or chicken like this, Popeyes?
I've been to Chick-fil-A,
Okay.
but Chick-fil-A is not going to be next door to me, at the corner of my street.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And
can't
again,
believe it.
we are addressing a drive-through here.
I know.
That's a piece of property in the township that's zoned for business, and it's an approved business within our
Mr. Hill, may I
township.
ask you when that was approved? Because we were notified of a meeting that was adjourned, postponed or something, and I never heard that it was
I don't know
up
if
on the agenda.
this is the Board of Zoning Appeals. I don't know when they approved the final drawings and everything.
The zoning
Commission, that was, July 10th.
Pardon?
July 10th.
July 10th. And again, you know, I don't want to sound like a hard guy or anything, but this is Painesville Township, you people are not in Painesville Township. We're listening to you.
We're citizens of Lake County.
I understand that, but this is not a Lake County board. This is a Painesville Township board, and I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just explaining how our guidelines have to work here.
Well, we have the first house on the right is in Painesville Township. That first building where the care is.
Isn't that a commercial building?
Kids, that's Painesville Township. I guess yeah, I just don't feel as if the other residents in Waterford have been given any kind of thought to what this is gonna do to our development. And I know you guys, Painesville Township and Menor, they have their issues, but anyway.
Well, this board has never had a problem with anything with Menor that I know of, so.
Good evening, board. Thank you
Yes.
for allowing me to speak. My name is Sean Blake, Menor City Councilman, Ward 1, which is Waterford and everything to the west of there. Our two communities have been very close for a long time, and we work very well with Painesville Township. Our police departments, fire departments work very well. Right now, we're working on a JED together, which will benefit both of us. So what I'm here tonight to do is to represent not just the citizens of Waterford, because they're being affected, but just to make sure that everything is flowing continuously. So as you guys know, when you put a fast food restaurant next to a residential community, you're tying two very, very different zoning classifications right together, right at the border. And to do that, we in Menor, I was on the BZA and Planning Commission, always gave a lot of thought to a buffer, a very strong buffer, whether it be mounding and arborvitae very tightly close together. Or I think in this case, what this gentleman said, an 8-foot board-on-board fence would be the ideal buffer there. You would have sound mitigation, headlight mitigation, and you would have good neighbors on either side of the fence. And you know, that's what I always strive for, is neighborhoods that do well together. But sometimes the best neighborhood is the one that has a strong fence. So I'd like to encourage this board to mandate an 8-foot fence, which would go along the back and along the side.
I would like the fellow in the red shirt, when you first mentioned a fence, you mentioned the back corner.
Right where you got it, yep. This is the back property of where it would be down here. So as the drive-through, you know.
Sorry.
Yeah, right here.
This is where the
So,
property is.
so it's gonna, the drive-through is gonna be, they're gonna be coming right through here, right on the edge of this. This is our street. The neighbors' houses that they're referring to are literally 400 feet from this corner where these drive-throughs gonna be going around, and their headlights are gonna be going like this.
Yeah.
All day long, all night long. There's no way to
Show
stop
me the
it
two,
other-
are the two homes on that drawing?
Yep, right there. This home, there's 4 homes. This house is only 400 feet from that corner.
You know, 400 feet is longer than a football field.
Okay, well,
I mean,
Not when you're in your front yard. It's
not when you have headlights.
well,
yeah, and noise and trash.
But just to finish my thought.
Yeah, please do.
Popeyes is gonna be a very, very popular establishment. And I'll be going there a lot myself, cause I live right on King Memorial. So I really wanna urge you guys to consider this fence. I consider adding it to the plan. Because there's gonna be a hard impact between the two zoning classifications, and you know, I just think you guys would be doing the right thing to include that. So I'll conclude there and let this meeting continue on, because I'm sure there's other people who would like to speak to you tonight. So thank you, board, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Next.
Anyone else?
Can you come to the podium? You swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I will.
And state your name.
My name's Dennis Weaver, and if I understand correctly tonight, we're trying to, everything's approved except the drive-through. Am I understanding that
Yes.
correctly? And they're asking for a dual lane drive-through, which seems to be the avant-garde way of doing things and getting the most people through their business, make the most money. And the positioning of it may be in question, but also the fact that it's a dual drive-through. The property, as it is adjacent to Waterford, is going to create some activity and a lot of disturbance later in the night. And if this is to approve a dual drive-through, is there a way to table this and consider a single drive-through and under the considerations?
I would have to ask, we'd have to talk to the architect. I think the dual entrance, has that been approved already or no?
Okay, so then I'm misunderstanding what the BZA is about tonight then.
Yeah, I'm a little confused too. So the dual driveway that's part of the drive-through, is that correct?
Basically, from my understanding of the zoning code, for us to have a drive-through window,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're here for tonight.
It's the drive-through
We
window.
have a restaurant without a drive-through, and we don't need a conditional use permit for that. But for us to use a drive-through, we need your approval for a conditional use.
But that would entail the two lanes coming in.
With a single lane, it would push it back further closer to the houses. So the dual drive-through limits this. It opens the stack versus making a longer single file line. You're doubling it up for two.
And the single lane would also perhaps back traffic onto Mentor Avenue itself.
Sean, I want to ask you a question. Our regular zoning inspector has to be out of town this evening, but she left some things for our board to consider. And here's one of the notes that the board is looking at. We've been made aware that the condo association is requesting the property owner that an 8-foot fence be installed on the property. I would like to note that 8-foot fences are not permitted in that district, and any fence along a roadway cannot exceed a height of 36 inches and must be at least 5 foot from the right of way. So I know you talked about Aldi, their fence is in the back. This is along a roadway that you're talking about on the entrance. Is that correct, Sean? Is that what she's referring to?
We have
I'm asking a question of our zoning people. Okay?
So the 8-foot fence, in terms of had multiple visitors, it's okay. So in terms of wanting an 8-foot fence going around the perimeter, around this side, up to Menor Avenue to limit the light, limit the trash, an 8-foot fence would require a variance on this property.
Well, I don't think this board would ever approve an 8-foot fence coming out to Route 20.
Correct.
Talk about problems turning, that would
right.
make it way worse.
I think most of the problem though is in that back corner.
The back corner.
That is correct. That's the picture that we're showing you, is that back corner.
Show us exactly where I think our concern is the 8-foot fence on the.
Here's what we're, actually, we don't really care about over there, but the 8-foot fence from here and just down here to block this. The 8-foot fence can stop here and you could drop it down to 4 foot or some other,
So the 8-foot fence along
really
Waterford.
It's this corner. It's this triangle right here.
And
That's what we're trying to mitigate: the light, the noise, the trash, so on and so forth.
Looking at the landscaping in terms of, I know that people are viewing down the line. Obviously, number 10 on the landscaping, you're looking at Norway spruce. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that back left corner there. And then on that turn where cars would be pointing their lights towards Waterford, and the Target parking lot, they also had them include, what is that? A couple of crabapple trees there, so like younger there while growing. And then I think there's a highlighted area because didn't the zoning commission require it was in that highlighted area, making sure that it was a more established Norway spruce?
I know they wanted the earth mound 2 feet further from Madison Avenue, and then they removed a honey locust tree at the intersection of Waterford and Menor Avenue.
So they moved back on the front for landscaping there. But if we're talking about mitigating light here,
Have your residents seen this? Have they seen that?
Could I offer another suggestion? If the fence is hard to swallow, can they mound the dirt up to 8 foot and landscape on either side of it? I mean, or 7 foot to I mean, then you got a dirt wall that.
Well, I think if you realistically, if you go up 8 foot, you're taking a lot of space away to get to 8 foot with a slope coming down.
Oh.
That's probably not realistic.
Okay, well, just a thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing that I would just suggest a comment keeping in mind on that drawing that you see where those houses are, they're sort of right over here on the other side of Waterford. So as the cars come around here, as soon as they start to make that turn right here, there's no light going that way, right? So if that fence were here or even maybe on the corner, I mean, there's no need to put a fence here from a lighting standpoint for those houses, just my opinion, because of that angle when they come around. If you look at
And that
drawing,
right
especially
there,
if you've not seen that drawing before.
where you're talking about, that's just for the parking. But even before that, there's a lot more landscape for that drive-through area in that whole corner there that would block that lighting.
Well, there's a lawn there.
Well, that's a good point.
Looking at
This
that, I
is
don't
this
see
is
where
for
it's
the
pointing at.
this is for the parking lot.
Yeah,
The
but
only
this is
time it's
all
gonna be
they could put more stuff here.
pointing is when
But
they
I'm
make
just
the
saying, like,
turn.
when
way
they
First
back
make the
over
turn.
It's
Yeah.
landscape here blocking.
That's a great point, David, is where the cars are actually going in for the drive-through. I'm going out further than that. You're right.
Have you people seen this drawing before? No. Okay, just so you know, our zoning board and the people from Popeyes have gone through a lot. This is very appealing to Painesville Township. This is a nice looking planting here. I mean, it's not just a trash bin in the back and a bare lot with people turning around. This is the first we've been involved in this, but they've put a lot of thought into the plantings and everything that are here. And they're not just throwing this up there. And my feeling is, you know, if you still want a fence, we might consider something, but an 8-foot fence is ugly, I think. This is attractive, and it solves the same problem that you're looking at. Now, we can make a condition, we can put a condition on this, that once this is all in and the landscaping is in, if there are still problems with lights, we can have them add more landscaping to it.
It's not just lights, it's trash also.
And noise.
Realistically, a drive-through is not going to be a lot of noise. If the closest house is 400 foot away, you're going to have to go out of your way to try and listen to noise over there. Okay, that. Again, we're trying to appease people. This is in our township, and these people have gone out of their way to make our township look very nice and still try to appease you.
Is there any way we can come to some kind of an agreement for a fence just along the back? Not coming down the side.
Well, if we come up with a fence, it's probably going to be, we would ask about just that back corner when they're making that turn.
Why not a fence with landscaping on the Waterford side that block the fence?
Well, you know, you guys own that property, you could put a fence up yourself if it's concerning.
Yeah,
I thought you leased that out to the school. No? So there's another whole building between, a commercial building between where your property starts and this?
Yes, sir.
Just last question or comment. Is it possible that instead of conditional permit, that if it gets up, running, open, and there's issues with trash and stuff like that, we readdress it at a different time?
Let me explain what a conditional use permit is. We put conditions on the property owner. And if there are problems, if there are complaints from people, they come to our zoning board, and a conditional use permit can be rescinded. And I'm sure your councilman knows that, having been on a BZA. In planning, okay? So again, we're sitting in a position where we're representing the residents of Painesville Township. We want some respect for you, but our concern are our residents. What they've proposed here, our residents are very, very happy with. It's a nicely landscaped building. Ideally, it could be a vacant lot. That's what everyone would like to have. And if you wanted it that way, maybe the homeowners association should have gone together and buy it a while back or something. But the fact is, somebody has a right to develop that within our zoning.
Yeah,
And
and that said, we still, to your point, we want to be good neighbors, right? Because there's future opportunities to develop and to grow together. So I think, the fact that you hadn't seen the landscaping that was proposed, it's a proactive attempt between the township and the builder to address the barrier issue. And so what is proposed there is our best attempt with the information we have to put a barrier system up there that's natural, attractive, and has been proven to work in other areas. And if we were to put that in and there are still issues, then of course we would come back and we would talk about it further and talk about other mitigating steps to address your needs.
And that can be part of our conditional use permit. Yes, ma'am. Were you sworn? See, I told you there were a lot of people who want to do this. I warned you.
And can you come to the podium so we make sure that you get recorded from the microphone? Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I sure do.
And what is your name?
Kelly Stein.
Hi.
I know. I just want to say to the board here that this is not the first that we've heard of this, because we did have a sandwich board sign saying that there was going to be a Popeyes meeting, but it was postponed. I don't want to completely speak for everybody, a resident of Waterford. However, we didn't know what we were coming to. We didn't know this was a zoning meeting. We didn't know any of this. So all we knew was, we hadn't seen that. All we knew was there was a Popeyes going in and we're concerned. So I think what is happening is there's a lot of angst and anxiety and anger, and this is our first time and place to even verbalize it to anyone. So I think that's where this is coming from. And I appreciate that the people that spoke on our behalf are trying to come up with some other possibilities for you to consider. Also knowing that this might not even be your wheelhouse, that it might have to go, through someone else or whatever. I also would like to know, so who do we go to? Maybe you, or, we're very concerned about the traffic. So, that's huge. Right now, even trying to get out of Waterford in the past couple of months has been horrific, and we're worried about the accidents. So I think it's more of we're upset, we're concerned. Where do we take these issues? Who do we go to? And obviously this isn't, where all of our issues need to go. We weren't really, right? We weren't sure what we were walking into tonight. So I do want to say, for me, I apologize that, this was our first, we're kind of dumping all this on you, maybe unfairly. So apologize for that. But if you could just help us figure out where we can direct all of our questions, and do you know what I'm saying?
I think in answer to that, Mr. Anzera made a very good point. We are here to help neighbors. We're here to concern Painesville Township residents. We are faced with a property that is rightfully can be developed.
Yes.
Whether it causes a lot of traffic or does not.
Correct.
If that comes up down the road, and then, they have to approach ODOT, put a
and
light
that's just
in.
it,
But we can't demand that from ODOT.
Right, and that's what we're saying. We didn't know who we're supposed to talk to or who we were talking to even tonight. And you're right. Painesville has every right, and you want to do what's right for the residents of Painesville. However, we are Menor residents on the border sharing the property with Painesville. So, you know, if you were going to, you referenced some other drive-throughs on Menor Avenue, but they're not right next to a residence without a traffic light. So I think that's where we're coming from. I just wanted to make that clear that, you know, we weren't coming in with our, our
And I'll tell you,
shovels
Kelly,
and,
there's,
you know.
there's been a lot of thought. This has been in front of our zoning board for a long time.
And this is the first we've seen
And
it, so.
from what I understand, Popeyes has gone a long way to work with our township.
And that's great.
And there's a big expense here in the planning.
And that is appreciated. Now that we're starting to see some of the efforts that they put in, that will be appreciated for
You
sure.
know, I guess there's a couple ways to look at this. This could have been a car repair shop.
Could have
I
been
mean,
lots of things.
that's an approved usage there.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole nother issue that you
Could be
get into.
anything, yeah.
So,
But since this is what it is, I think we're just trying to, you know, put a voice to our concerns, and who do we take those concerns to? Is where we're coming from. Thank you very much.
Mr. Couch. Now you know this is a conditional use permit. This is your design here, or where are you in the hierarchy here if we put conditions on this? Does this go back to Popeyes then?
No, it would go back to me as the architect.
Okay.
And I will confer with my client
Okay.
on whatever conditions you put on here.
All right.
And we'll comply.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman? Just to comment to the lady's concerns about the traffic. It's more difficult than you would think, unfortunately, in that the traffic control would, or the property where the traffic light would be is in Painesville Township, where your problem is a Menor problem more than it is Painesville Township. So you'd probably have to apply through Painesville Township to get a light there, I would think, which would be difficult to do.
Just so you know, Mr. Lewis was a former battalion chief in the city of Menor, so he's familiar with these kinds of things.
Well, I know that particular intersection because we have to go to Painesville Township in order to respond to a Menor home, so it's kind of unusual. But be that as it may, I sympathize with your problem because I think it's difficult anyway, as Sean pointed out, to get a new light or even a stop sign put in on a street because you have to get ODOT to agree that there's a problem. But I would think you'd have to apply through Painesville Township to get it done.
Just to be clear with everybody here right now, with what we're looking at with a drive-through, you all understand this building has been approved. We're here to work with you on getting a drive-through that meets your satisfaction. The most that I'm hearing is light and noise coming around the corner.
Correct.
So if you let us do what we think we do pretty well, we've been doing it for a long time, our board. Let us move forward with this, put some conditions on the applicant saying that if there are complaints, if there's still an issue after this goes in, they'll be taken care of. Sure.
Thank you again. I always look for solutions, and I've never seen that plat before tonight. And I think probably one of the biggest concerns is the lights coming around that bend. So I would think that if you put the 15 feet and 15 feet fence, and possibly it doesn't even have to be 8 foot high, might even be 6 foot high because headlights are you know only 3.5 feet on standard cars. But it seems to me that the biggest solution would be a 15-foot run and a 15-foot run right at the corner, catches those headlights, catches a lot of noise through the drive-through because cars are going to be rolling, accelerating. They're not going to be sitting and idling except for that area right there. So as I look for a compromise, and you guys may hang and tar and feather me, but that 15-foot fence in each direction, if you guys approve that tonight, would probably make this a solved issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a good compromise.
I think you 100% agree on that.
Sean, my concern is our comment from,
That's
our
fine.
zoning
Every
inspector
time you call
about
that,
a fence on a right of way.
Yeah.
What is she talking about, the road going into, Waterford?
I believe the comments were based upon the setback here, right? And then, because originally it was discussed coming up to Menor Avenue.
No, we would never, I would
You know,
never.
so in the realm here, whether or not the lighting is, you know, the fence obviously would appease the neighbors, right? So when you look at the setback itself, sorry, where is my setback? Sorry, where are my plans? So when
You folks have some landscaping there? I mean, like a little
there's
fence or
landscaping and
something?
then the large pine tree on that property. So the tree buffer starts at the setback itself and then the setback for the parking. So it's well further past there. I'm not sure. The fence being along here is going to require a variance. Starting a fence back here, not an 8-foot fence, would require not a variance, but installation of a fence, just in nature of a permit. But I don't know whether a fence starting outside of the road right away to here is going to solve the problem, because the tree's already there. But requesting an applicant to apply for a variance to put that fence in the road right away, it's not. They could object to that. I mean, you can refer to legal on that, in my opinion.
We could approve the variance right now.
I possibly, but you'd probably have to put public notice out on that, because if somebody objected to that being there.
Mr. Couch, could you come up for a minute? Sean, can you put up the plot, the
landscape?
The, drawing with all that drawing.
I'm gonna show. I'll pull up here too, just in the nature of apples to apples, right? Not looking at time frame. I'm not sure what time Target closes and stuff, right? So the fence starts over here at the back of the building, and then there's no fence along here, right?
I can understand, but when people turn there, they're not hitting anybody with their headlights there.
This first house would be, right?
There's an 8-foot fence along that.
Right here, right?
All the way down, yep, correct.
Starts here, but I'm saying not next to the parking lot, or is there one? Right. So mirroring the properties. So there's no fence here, correct?
No, there is not.
So then there would be a fence added here to block light for back here. Is there a mound here?
There's trees there.
Trees, just trees.
Evergreens?
No.
Just 30 years of growth.
Sean, go back to the one with all the plantings.
Yep.
You understand what we're trying to do in that corner there. It's my feeling that, we'll pass this thing with some conditions on a conditional use permit. Is there room for more planting in there if required? Let's say that gets going and there's lights coming through there. My last case scenario is putting a fence up. If it can be solved with plantings, that's much more appealing than a fence to looking at.
The problem with, I have no objection to adding more landscaping. However, you can't just plant
I understand.
2 spruces 10 feet apart. They will eat each other up.
Correct.
So there has to be a gap between them to allow them to grow. Yes. So.
Could you put a little mound? I think somebody suggested.
Mounds,
I'm not talking a big one, but
mounds,
raised
one,
mound.
can be expensive, and then 2, any landscaping on that mound would have to be irrigated to survive.
Okay.
On this,
so
right here, if you can take a look right here. This is all lawn, correct?
Is that
I know you
what
can't
you're
plant these too close together. but-
Right, because that's a water, that's
That's on their
detention area for
property,
water.
right?
So
This
you can't
is-
really plant anything in, but
You can't
yes,
plant it.
yeah, so that's something we're trying to count.
So you couldn't stagger one in there.
You put something outside of that, yes. And if they want to, fence, that's, it would have to occur outside of that area.
The property line is here.
How far to the side of that fence do they own? They must have a couple feet, no?
I mean, it's probably right on the border. Like if you look at that, like see the blue triangle there, like that's where it turns. It's gonna kick me, but like if you look here, is open, and then you're driving in. Because I'm not sure how tall this is already.
4 foot that fence that's done long, well, it's about 4 feet high.
I gotta agree with the chairman, a wooden fence behind that's not gonna be very attractive at all.
No, we've gone out of our way to make it attractive, and I don't want to just inadvertently stick one in there. I understand that that's what you want, but
I mean, that's a spruce, right?
We have a fence behind us where that blue line on the far left going down.
Here, yeah.
Target put that fence up to block us from the noise and the headlights and everything from over there. And it's not ugly. They repair it, they take care of it.
Well, I think along with this stone is what I'm getting at. You'd have another fence behind your stone fence. I mean, that's pretty nice landscape, and then you got a wooden plastic fence, and they, that wouldn't do what you're wanting to do if they put a wooden or a plastic fence to match yours. So it's gonna be.
No, not that. Targets is a wooden, I think it's board on board.
Yeah.
pass this with condition, the way it is, and if there's a problem, readdress it.
They asked the architect to consider additional landscaping capabilities now as part of whatever's practical.
Mhm.
And then if that doesn't do it, there's other mitigating steps, including if it
Yeah, this could go on all night.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we did a condition that allowed for complaints per se, and if we heard complaints, can we put it in such that the condition, the first part of that condition would be a hearing by the board to hear the residents versus it's a complaint because of lights, so we're going to bring the applicant back in and you got to mitigate the lights. It would be really good to be able to understand, perhaps even if people are, hey, I've shot this video and here's what's happening, versus just bringing the applicant back in and saying, we've got complaints, you have to mitigate that. It'd be great, I think, to hear from the board or hear from the residents, the board before the applicant is here. Does that make sense?
We kind of did that with that pony, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah, we did. We heard before. Yeah, you're right.
So we gave them a certain amount of time to see how things worked out.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think Popeyes is gonna wanna do that though. It's not like a pony.
Yeah.
They'll take their building back.
Well, that's my only fear of if we put a condition that says, well, if residents complain about the lights, you have to do something. I mean, as Popeyes, I might say, well, yeah, we're not gonna do that, right? So that's just a thought.
Mhm. What's your feeling on that? You've got maximum plantings that you can fit into that corner right now.
We can try to add more, but like I said, you can only space them so tight.
Yeah, you don't want, if you put them too close, they're gonna kill each
So,
other.
I mean, we can definitely
How about
add more.
How about adding something that would be kind of a stopgap until the bushes or the plants that you're putting in there get size, and then you could take them out?
Like a fence temporarily?
Like a
arborvitae.
Yeah,
I mean, until the trees grow.
I know they're gonna crowd each other, but anticipating that, put in something that can be taken, we're just gonna say, after 5 years, these smaller ones are coming out because the big ones are doing their job now.
Well, what about in that drive-through area where that little island of plants, bushes, shrubs, whatever these are these going to be tall enough to block headlights?
I don't know what those, so we have these and this
Yeah,
road here.
you've
so that's two
basically got
rows.
two barriers there,
Yes.
don't you? You've got
Yeah,
one
two
right there and
barriers
then one
here
in the
and a
distance.
third one in the very back.
Yeah.
I don't know the species of them or the height that they would be, but that's something we can definitely consider. But again,
especially in that last row there. I mean, if we could find something that could grow at least like 3.5 feet, maybe.
but again, the curb is only so wide, so keep
Yeah,
in mind that if you're
the
going to also they
narrowness.
grow 4 or 5 feet tall, and also you have to worry about you got two cars going like this, and you put a 5-foot fence between them, they're not going to see each other until they kiss
All right,
on site.
this could go on all night. I can't make a motion because I'm the chairman, but I think what I'm going to recommend we do is go ahead with this the way it's proposed, with a condition that once things are up and running, give these people a chance to look at it, and if there's a problem, one of the conditions would be come back and we'll do what needs to be done to take care of it. Right now I don't want to put a condition on to build a fence, because like Mr. Lewis said, you've got a nice wall. They've done a wonderful job with landscaping. I think sticking a fence up there would look like something out of place. No, it's looking at it from Painesville Township, and I don't want to look at that fence if I don't need to in Painesville Township.
But you don't live there,
I do live in Painesville Township.
not in my development, that's what I'm.
You live in Menor. I live in Painesville Township. This is on our property. Yes, ma'am. Have you been sworn?
I have not.
I know I should have said everybody gets sworn because you're going to want to talk.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay, and what is your name?
Kathleen Dondorfer. I think that tonight's issue should be tabled. I don't think it should be voted on because I don't think we've come up with a valuable solution for all the people who are affected by this. We've talked about a fence, we've talked about arborvitaes, we've talked about a mound system, which would obviously curb the light problem, but it would not curb the noise coming from that drive-through. If that drive-through is open till 11 o'clock at night, and you are one of the first few houses that are in Waterford, and you're hearing people ordering their dinners till 11 o'clock at night, the mound system and the trees and everything is not going to cure that. So my advice to you guys and to everyone here is this should be tabled until a valuable solution can come forward.
Okay. That it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Last comment, I'm done.
Okay.
I think it's a nice looking building, because I saw it. Still look nice. Drive-throughs don't go through, it's no big deal. The problem is, we're talking about, for us, a 15-foot, 6-foot board-on-board white vinyl fence. You're talking nickels and dimes compared to a big project like that. What's it gonna cost, a couple $100? Yeah. Put a freaking fence up and everybody's gonna be happy.
Okay.
And what he's proposing is aesthetically pleasant.
Mr. Couch, let me ask you this. Do you have a problem with that?
No objection.
Pardon?
No objection.
Okay. All right.
Tell us where you want it though.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
All right. Let someone make a motion, please, with the conditions.
Conditions being with a 6-foot fence or not?
Myself, I would say if they want a 15 by 15 foot fence and it's buried back behind the arborvitae and that on the Popeye side of it, it makes them happy.
6 feet. 6 feet.
I think 6 feet will solve the problem. It doesn't need to be 8 feet.
They can do that without a variance, right?
You can do 6 foot without a variance.
On both sides,
On the
making that
roadway
corner.
Just on the corner.
Well, understood, but
But
in
it's
both
behind-
directions is the
behind
question.
the building, so it should be prior to the building.
Yeah, they put the landscape on their side of it with the fence behind it. Perfect. Is that okay?
I have
nothing stopping them from putting arborvitae.
No, but they don't need to get a variance.
Pardon?
On the Waterford side, they would.
Let's make sure that our architect is on board with this.
I thought that
Where it's gonna,
the house.
I don't wanna make an unreasonable,
That's
condition.
backyard.
Do you have something to say for?
Yeah, on the side with the roadway, with
It's
the
gonna-
Waterford lane, it can't be above 36 inches.
Yeah,
Or they have to get a variance.
They're gonna have to require a variance on Waterford,
Okay.
and that's the setback there. So that's why in the director's notes,
Yeah.
as planned.
That's the roadway.
So if you're gonna, the conditions in terms of coming back, just like we did for Dollar General and Madison Avenue, when they would lose their privilege of storing stuff on the outside if they didn't upkeep the landscaping.
So technically, we could accomplish one piece of that corner fence, a 15-foot fence, 6
could go
feet
down to
high,
36 inches.
behind. Well, right, but if they needed 15 foot or if they needed 6 foot, we could only do the portion behind the property, not
along the
along
roadway.
Waterford. Correct.
And
If
Sean-
it was 36, if it was 3 feet.
Well, you can do 6 on the back.
Understood. You could do 3 tonight, but you couldn't do 6 tonight.
Sean, would it also, on the roadway side, if it was 36 inches, would it meet the 5-foot right-of-way setback?
I mean, this is a 4 foot tall thing, so it's gonna require a variance. You're not even gonna see the fence behind this.
It's
this
being,
tree.
that's a 4-foot wall there now, right?
Right.
What's a headlight on a car?
Because this is on the property behind. This is not on Popeye's property.
No, that's on their own.
It's on 21st century or 21st Waterford. So when you come this way, if you were to install a fence behind this tree,
Well, our property is about 10, 12 feet beyond that fence.
correct?
So it would, again, be parallel to it, but it would be 10, 12 feet away. And if it needs to be 5 foot off a property line, you said?
From the right-of-way. So,
But you're,
Well,
you're
they've
12
got a
feet
fence
away,
there.
right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, from the existing fence that goes up against the addition to the business next door. So if you look at the blue line there, that's basically our property line.
Yeah,
The
it's
existing-
shifted a couple feet, right?
Yes,
So you're gonna have a fence parallel both ways.
yes, 2
with that.
fences, 10 feet apart for whatever length you determine. Along, again, the business, the adjacent business.
Well, we're in the business of variances, so.
Right.
There's no screening requirement between, 2 businesses.
Right.
So this would just be something that we're doing, on ourselves, I guess.
It'd be nice if that block wall was higher.
And the gentleman I spoke with, this gentleman, because he just had to renew his conditional use permit, and he knew that Popeyes was going in, and he didn't. He's like, okay.
Mr. Chairman, can we, go ahead and let them know that we would approve the variance if they wanted a 6-foot fence and then waive the fee and just get this done? I mean, cause.
We can only put it on the back line though, correct?
No, we can change a variance. We can give them a variance for, it's not gonna do anything except require a variance to put a 6-foot fence.
Yeah, they'd have to come back for that variance, so, cause it has to go
But
up.
we could let them know that it would pass. I mean,
How far would that, if that's on that property line, what's the distance between that and that block fence that's your fence, is that correct?
Correct.
You talking about distance between their fence and the property?
Where if we would require a fence, where that fence would go up? I mean, is that gonna create a little alley there they can't even get through behind it to maintain it?
It's gonna
No,
be
up in the corner.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, right there between that block, the brick
Yeah.
fence that they have and the proposed one that.
It's hard to say, obviously, just because it's off. You can.
There's 5 foot before it hits the adjoining property.
Yeah, I mean, this is always off a couple feet, so.
Let me see a picture of their fence.
According to our survey, it's a lot
Not a
closer.
plan, a frontal view.
like a, you wanna see like that car view?
Yeah. Could they make theirs higher? Could they add to that fence to make it higher?
I mean, no, it's gonna be the same without a variance. I mean,
No, that's on their property, isn't it?
right, which is still in the township and the road right away and all that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gonna cause, that's the point in terms of putting a fence behind a fence to stop it. I mean, landscaping is going to basically correct it without looking aesthetically awkward.
And do we have a double fencing?
I-
I'll have to look at that too, because that could be a
I
problem.
don't like it double.
A lot of ordinances for cities have a double fencing prohibition as well, which could cause a problem.
Everybody understand what we're talking about? On the right of way side, the back line, we could put a 15-foot, 6-foot fence. The other one, we cannot put a 6-foot fence because there's a right of way there. And the only thing that we can put is a 3-foot fence. And we're not sure, our legal counsel is saying, we don't know if we can put parallel fences up. So for us to make that decision tonight, I don't know if we can do that.
Would you put the 15-foot fence up our block wall?
That's not on our property.
That's not their property. We can't
We can't do that.
Now
we can't
you,
go off the property.
but you could put a 15. We could do the 15-foot fence to
Then
their
they could
property,
match
and they
it
could
behind
add
theirs if they
to
want.
it up to their block wall.
They still need a variance.
It's gonna require a
Right.
variance.
But they would have.
not-
It'd be their variance.
I think your fence is on township property. Is that correct? So if you do it, if we could say, yeah, if you do it, you're going to require a variance, but you would come to our board and it would probably be approved.
No, seriously, I mean, we're arguing a little bit of semantics in terms of appeal, visual appeal. Some people like to see plantings to provide barrier, others would like to just block out the light. We're talking about a right angle kind of thing in that corner. And, I don't know, I'm probably speaking out of term here for Waterford and the association to contribute and build whatever on Painesville property with a variance to achieve that. Am I doing that wrong, Gary? Speaking out of
You're saying
I know, I'm speaking
extend,
out.
you're saying extend the vinyl fence in between the stone fences?
Whatever to get,
Or no?
no, I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. And maybe table this tonight, let's have.
Let's do the 15-foot.
Hmm?
Let's do the 15-foot 6. Let's do the 15-foot 6.
Yeah, give them on the back property. Let's just do that. All right.
What Harley said. We're good with that.
Let's make a motion.
Can we add so we're okay adding the
I
15
recommend that
foot
we add
back?
a 15-foot, 6-foot high fence on the back property,
Correct.
and that's it for now.
Yep. Do we need stipulations in terms of where that fence is located?
Within legal setback.
Within the setback and as far to the west as it can be.
Yes.
Right.
Which setback?
We don't need to, as long as
Parking
they're doing a
or
variance,
building?
they can put it right on the property line. Within a couple feet.
Because
Yeah, true.
We can.
Yeah.
Leave that up to the expert, the architect, where
now you're in our retention pond.
on the back.
Yes, if
Yeah.
you having me
No,
go,
we're talking about, is there room behind these plantings?
someone said office setback.
Off the setback of Waterford.
From
Okay.
west to east.
The back property line.
Yeah,
How
west
far
to
off
east.
would you want that?
They put it right on it.
Right on the property line?
Why not?
Where is this at?
That's permitted.
Would that be a problem for you guys maintaining your side? I'm asking.
It's not ours.
And there's some,
It's
I've
problem
heard,
for you
I've
guys.
heard wood on wood, and I've heard vinyl, white vinyl,
I assume you want solid, not
solid,
Or a,
solid fence, right? You don't
You
want
can't see through
any
it.
light going through.
no light. 6 foot white vinyl.
It might be a problem because that neighboring property wasn't notified of a fence possibly being placed there. That's where we're gonna get into a legal problem. You can say they don't care, but you can't speak for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So at this point, you either, you can put the conditions in terms of complaints, like for the other stuff, or
Why don't we include that with our condition that they be notified if there's a problem? with
Yeah,
the
if there's a
evaluation?
problem, they be notified prior to it being put in if there's a problem with it.
I put it in a part of the condition so that we can get done tonight. I don't.
Yeah.
it's hard. Just in the
Well, I mean, the chances are they're not gonna care.
possibly,
It
but
blocks them too.
Can we do that?
No, I don't think you should. 'Cause
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that you if this is going to be the condition, that person has to get notice. So I do think if that's going to be the conditions that you guys want to put on this, you're going to have to table this in order to give that person proper notice.
The proper notification.
But is there a variance required for that fence?
Not if they keep the setback right, there's no variance.
But
As long as there's enough room, I mean, there's no fence required. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I guess.
Understood, but I mean, they can build a fence in their setback
Right.
with, as long as it's within, there's no.
Yeah, they don't, we've never let a property owner know if the
No.
neighbor know if someone's gonna put a fence up.
No.
Okay. And as long as it's within, there's enough room there as well for you to
That's
do
why
this without.
the condition would have to fall within normal zoning regulations.
Yes.
So
And these other plans have already been approved by.
the commission, so
Right,
changing
so
those.
can't be changed,
I
you
have
know,
to see what the right of way is.
by adding this fence either.
Correct. So it would just be added to the backside, to the property behind all the landscape has to stay the same, and it would just go behind it at that point and fall as long as it meets township resolution.
You okay with that, Mr.?
Yes.
Let's make a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the conditional use permit number 2023-006-BZA with the conditions of a 6-foot tall vinyl fence, 15-foot long, within the zoning resolutions to where we have to follow the approved code, and
It's on the north side of the property.
on the north side of the property. Is there any other
Going to the western boundary.
going to the western boundary?
Does that make sense, everybody?
What was the last part, going to the?
Western boundary.
Western boundary.
And there doesn't need to be any other conditions on that, correct?
No, the conditional use for the drive-through would, normally we would put the hours on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked what the hours are, so I would say, they said from 10 AM to 11 PM, no later than 11 PM. I would add those conditions to
With
it.
condition number 2 being time of usage for the drive-through being 10:30 AM to 11 PM. And is that going to be Monday through Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Monday through Sunday.
And a period of,
With a period of 5 years, which is the maximum that we can do.
and everything else per this, the submitted drawing. As
Yeah,
far as
all the
as far as
landscape is
landscape.
gonna have to stay the same, and
Okay? Did you get it?
Can I read that back?
Sure.
Okay. A 15-foot, 6-foot height vinyl fence within zoning resolution on north side, on the north side property going to the western boundary. Hours for the drive-through would be 10:30 AM to 11 PM, and
Monday through Sunday.
If
Monday through Sunday.
Just to be sure, you might wanna change to their normal operating hours. We're putting a time on there, and I don't know if it's 10 or 10:30 that they open.
That's
10:30.
Open within their normal operating hours.
All the Popeyes in the surrounding areas 10:30, and they all close at 11, except for the one in Beechwood.
I do like the normal we can do that.
Just make it their normal operating hours.
That's 10:30 a.m. to 11.
Well, we're not gonna even use that. We're just gonna put hours of operation to adhere to Popeye's normal business operations, or normal
operating
hours. Yeah. That way we're not gonna put a time in at all.
Okay, that sounds better. Okay, hours for drive-through, normal operating hours.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
Monday
want to
through
say
Sunday.
something?
Are we still doing Monday through Sunday then?
Yeah.
Okay. For a 5-year term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, the motion's been made. Someone want to second it?
I'll second.
Second it. Rachel, if you will call the roll, please.
Okay, Randy,
Yes.
Dave Anzera,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes. Okay, everyone understand what you're getting?
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our concerns.
It's unfortunate that all of you came in here this evening without an idea of what was going on.
And you made the mention that this has been going on for a long time, and we only found out about this when one of our board members saw.
And I don't know if it is legally responsible for a township to let someone in another community know, even though they are bordering it?
Well,
Yeah, they really don't border it.
they don't, and then it's also, that's the thing, that none of these properties technically border.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, so it was not a requirement of the township to let you people know legally.
But it would have been a good neighborly thing.
I can speak that I've cradled to currently digging with a shovel on this. I've had a visitor probably from your guys' neighborhood at least once a week for the past like 4 or 5 months. Popeyes has changed their design to meet our requirements and shifted and adjusted. They've tried multiple things, and that's why the meeting's been pushed back and pushed back. And I've talked to a couple residents that come in and we talk about it, all the time. And he's like, okay, you're gonna have a lot of people showing up. So, I mean, we communicate. I've taken phone calls from your guys' community. It's not that we were hiding anything. It's just we send out legal notices to the people behind you, and people on your board were aware.
If I could just add to your comments, like we said at the very beginning, even though we're in different jurisdictions, we want to be good neighbors with each other. It's to all our best interest, right? And so even you have come and you thanked us for listening to you. We want to thank you for coming to talk with us and to voice your concerns and the way you did it, which leads towards a productive discussion. And so I think we've taken a big step towards coming up with a solution. So thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Where do we stand with our request to get a traffic light there? What do we have?
You missed that part when you were out. And I think you have to go to ODOT.
You gotta journalize it. You gotta journalize it.
Yeah. I just want, again, thank everybody. The storm outside came inside for a while. Now they're all gone. Yeah. Mr. Couch. Where did he go?
Would you like us to journalize this tonight?
Don't recommend.
Would you like us to journalize this tonight?
Yeah, I want to. All right, let's make a motion to
Would you like us
journalize.
to journalize this? This will not take effect until next month.
Oh, that's fine. Not yet. That's next on our list. We want to journalize this decision.
Would it? You're comfortable and confident.
Thank you.
Buy off.
This is my 30th year doing this.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
And this was a very calm crowd compared to some of them. I used to have to close the public hearing. I've heard that. I've heard that 5 times.
Glad you made it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys.
You've been in our shoes, so you know.
What's that?
You have been in our shoes, so you know.
Yes.
How you doing? Yeah, well, this is a calm group compared to a lot.
Well, it's because You're welcome. Thank you. Because of the right of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not right now, obviously.
Yeah. Let's make a motion to journalize this decision.
Yeah, so they're gonna journalize the next meeting, but
We're still,
I'm gonna
hey,
try
we're
process.
still in session here. We're gonna make a motion to journalize somebody.
Monday.
Make a
Call
motion.
me Monday.
Rachel,
Call me Monday and I'll.
Dave has made
I'll
a motion
process
to
it for you.
journalize it.
He's suggesting that there's no need to journalize, but it's if you
We'll
want
do it,
to.
so it's done.
You want to do it?
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Rachel,
Okay, that was Dave Lindros who motioned and then you seconded. Okay, Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Dave Anzera,
Yes.
and Chairman.
yes.
Resounding yes.
Okay, now we're gonna move on here. We're closing the public hearing. You know, do we need to make a motion to close it, or do we just close it?
Make a motion.
All right, someone want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I will make the motion that we close the public hearing.
All right, motion's been made, seconded.
Okay, Dave Lindros,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Dave Anzera,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and Chairman.
Yes.
Closed.
Is there any old business? Let us finish our meeting here, then we'll talk, okay? Let us finish our meeting.
We have to finish our meeting. Sorry.
All right, the minutes have been submitted. Does anyone have any questions or comments or objections to the minutes? If not, let them be recorded as submitted. There's no old business, any new business? John, do you have anything we know is coming up in August?
Just Starbucks signs currently.
Okay, so our meeting is still gonna, the second Tuesday, our regular second Tuesday of August.
Unless you're going fishing again.
No, that's September.
Yeah, so that would be what, the 8th of August? August 8th.
August 8th.
Because they caught us on that Monday on the 1st. Or on the 1st of, is the first Tuesday.
Okay, with that, I think we're finished then. Thank you, everybody. Now, yeah.
Ended. 10:30 until